is that they have a representation, amongst other allied unions. So why the disparity? Why you do your thing, I do my thing?
Yes, like I said on Thursday, the point is both unions on October 2nd, that's when they signed the MOU with the federal government, where the government agreed, that's last year, agreed on certain issues like getting the CNG buses to ease transportation, the wage award of 35,000 naira for 6 months, and some other things, and which the government has not done. As at February 2nd this year, they came again, both unions, to inform the government that they are going on a strike after 2 weeks. Okay? Now, what TUC is saying is that NLC, the President Ajaro, did not confront them, or rather did not consult them before going for a press release to say that we are now going on strike on the protest 27 and 28. He just unilaterally took that decision. So what we would have expected that after the expiration of the 2 weeks, both of them will come back together, discuss, strategize, then each of them will go back to their own mother unions, to their neck, and talk about modalities. But the NLC didn't do that. They just went ahead, and took that decision. And they are saying this is not the first time, this is not the second time, this is like the third time Joe Ajaro has done that. So they are trying to say it's a collective struggle. You cannot be acting like you are the Lord of all. You cannot do everything on your own. The TUC has a large following, and so they felt slighted, and that's why they are pulling out. It's not as if they are saying they are against the protest. They are just, it's a way of protesting against the NLC for their actions.
It's funny, protesting against protests.
Yes, it's actually funny to me because as a unionist as well, I'm beginning to see some level of power show.
Of course.
You understand, because NLC ordinarily has always wanted to say, yes, we are the law.
Exactly.
Even though
you remember the struggle and when the whole thing started, when it was just NLC and the Obasanjo administration introduced the law that allowed for unions, other people to register. And there was this struggle before finally TUC was finally registered. So that unseen battle has been going on. So I think that's what's playing out now. But I think in the interest of the Nigerian workers, it's not healthy. It sends the wrong signals to the powers that be. If these people are not united, it shows that they are not united, and it's not a good one. If we must achieve our aim, all parties have to come to the table and have a united front, because it affects everybody.
Yes, it affects everybody, and at that point, it allows for government to be able to break through the ranks.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
Because if government knows that, yes, there are two components, and the only way to be able to break through them, it's
to cause a division. Exactly.
And once there's a division, amongst them, it's like the center
cannot hold. Exactly. That's why the NLC can't do it on their own. That's it.
And so when I was also coming, I saw everywhere it's as if there was nothing happening.
Yes.
The transporters were moving. Students were. I had to carry my son to the road to be sure that school was essential.
So it doesn't get stranded at the end of the day.
It doesn't get stranded.
And that's why I said it's not a full-blown strike.
It's not a full-blown strike.
It's just like more like a protest.
And that cannot still give us the bite.
Well, it's a starting point if you ask me. Let us wait for these 2 days. Because why I say you think it won't give a bite? The federal government had different overtures to ensure that this protest does not take place today. Yeah. So if you think it doesn't have a bite, they wouldn't have bothered to prevent it. So they know the implication of it, because it sends the wrong signal. It gives the country a bad image. Already protests have started in Lagos, in Edo State, as well, in Oyo State, Niger, Kano. So it's not like the first time. So the DS has also brought up an advisory or whatever, a warning to. So if they feel it's nothing, why would they send that? So it's something. It's sending a message to the powers that be. Okay, so it's a starting point.
Yes, in as much as it's sending a message to the powers that be, knowing fully well that the powers that be are also guiding against hijack. Because like I said, I told you, if you and I talked about, when a man is hungry, he's angry.
Natural.
And once he's angry, he can. We have been part of the processes of hijacking.
No, but I cited an example. It's not far off. 2020, the NSAS protest.
Of course.
It was hijacked.
But the point is, NSAC's protest was going on peacefully for weeks.
That's what that.
Now, who will hijack it? Let me tell you this thing. The whole thing is, the government of the day is not being sincere. Because Section 39 of the Constitution allows for peaceful assembly and protest of that nature. So it is the duty of the government of the day to provide security to ensure such protests go about. Rather, they will rather sponsor, people who would go against the protest or hijack it. So it's the government of the day.
All right, I thank you so much. I can see my producer now saying, okay, because you see, these issues are very, very important.
Yeah.
And if you don't discuss them, that means you don't know your onions.
Exactly.
As far as presenting your program is concerned. You see, you discuss all of this and you finally dovetail into
the
what these papers are actually saying. Because it will also get to a point where you will see some of the papers also discussing it.
Right.
So we should take it easy, nice and cool. As, when we're
One
going
step
about,
at a time.
one step at a time, I always want to maintain. So we'll go straight to what the papers are actually saying this morning. We'll have the Nigerian Tribune that says above the master, 30 billion to governors. Akpabio recants and apologizes. Fake OK's 1 trillion for phase 1 Lagos, Port Harcourt, Calabar, coastal roads. Below the master, the Rosai report, that's a good one. Fake OK's full implementation, 12 years after. That is good news for me, as far as I'm concerned. 12 years down the line.
There are key recommendations for implementation.
Yeah, so when they pick up a copy of the Tribune,
They will
because
see.
of want of time, so we'll go straight to the Guardian newspaper.
Let's move straight to the Guardian newspaper this morning, and on page 6 you find lean administration after bloated cabinet. Tinubu okay's Orosai report merger of MDAs. Okay, federal government okays social security payments to vulnerable families and graduates. Niger border still shut despite ECOWAS lifting sanctions. And hardship. Federal government labor in emergency talks over planned nationwide protest. An impending strike. Federal government ASU in endless tango over unfulfilled promises. And that's it on the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right, that's it on the Guardian newspaper. Our Vanguard newspaper, it's a newspaper for review, and it has its way. Just like we did say, I know definitely most of the papers will speak to the conversation that's actually given us a lead to discuss this morning. Below the masthead, hardship ahead NLC rally. Protests rock Edo, Lagos, and Osho State. And the rider to that, fix economy or resign. Edo CSOs, that is civil society organizations, tell Tinubu we will defend protests nationwide. Police headquarters places men on red alert nationwide. And we also have this one as a rider. Once the posters against hijack, CSOs ask members, Nigerians to join LSC protest. That's a major one. And we have this one also. TUC advises federal government to allow importation of food items. Edo Guba, it also has men petition Ganduje want Uzodima's report upheld.
All right, I think we're moving on to The Nation. And on The Nation newspaper this morning, many federal government agencies, department to go in major rejig. Measures also to take place for efficiency. Implementation of Orosai report not to sack workers. Ways out of economic crisis by TUC. Protest police on alert. Supreme Court gets full complement of 21 justices, and due process followed in Nambila Hydropower Project says contractor. Okay, that's the major headline stories on the Nation newspaper.
Yes, Daily Trust is our next port of call. And we'll take the major headline there. Protest again, just like we did say. It's almost on all of the tabloids this morning. Protest in Lagos, Osun, Edo over hardship. And the write-up to that says federal government labor meeting deadlocked. As of this morning, breaking news, I saw it that they didn't come to equilibrium.
They insisted.
And I said, okay, what is the way forward?
Protest.
Because I expected, we journalists have a way of putting sensational stories. Okay, if you say the meeting ended without the proper conclusion, okay, what is the way forward? That is where we are today. IG puts officers on red alert, warns troublemakers. Begin food importation now. TUC tells federal government.
Right.
Okay, that's it on
Daily Trust.
the Daily Trust.
Moving on to the Punch. 12 years after, Tinubu adopts Orasan report, Meji's agent says, and please deploy anti-riot squad as NFC holds protest today. Ogun, Kogi, Taraba governors felicitate Punch at 50. And the major headline there, the pictures, the indexes you're seeing or viewing, you can find on the Punch newspaper is the Orosai report that was submitted in the year 2012. You find the key recommendations there on the Punch newspaper.
All right, our next paper for review, the Daily Independent. And the Daily Independent simply puts it this way. Federal government unearths Orosai's 12 years report, set to implement it. And NIN got restraints, MTN, Airtel, others from deactivating subscribers' lives. Below the master, police are sure on safety, security of protesters. One in posters. And the writer to that says, place officers on red alert, asks demonstrators to be peaceful. Civil society leaders back nationwide mass protest. Want detractors in posters to stay clear of genuine struggle. Okay, and the photo speak there. Yes, I might not be able to go through all of that photo speak, but we can see the governor of Imo State, that of Ebonyi, and of course we also see Kashim Shettima at the roundtable and launch of Light Up Nigeria program in the southeast yesterday by Vice President in Enugu, bringing, I think that's a good one for me. I wish all regions can actually do same, and I think once they do all of that, we'll get to the issue of light being a thing of the past. Henry will speak to that conversation. But we'll just take this last one below the photo speak. Constitution review. Reps committee to prioritize state police, local government autonomy, and women. What about the men? The men are not mentioned in all of this. And the writer says, inaugurated 43-member committee to submit report in 24 months. That's 2 years, to be precise. Okay, those were the major headlines on our front pages this morning. And Henry, yes, one major one for me, if you ask me, there are two things running now. That of the Orosai report,
Right.
which is trending. And of course, you've actually been talking to the conversation on the strike action. But we're also going to be looking at the constitutional review moving forward.
Moving forward.
Yeah. So, Henry, Orosai 12 years review committee.
Yes.
It has outlived almost about 2 administrations. Yes.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
This is the second administration. Rather, it was the report was in. The committee was actually set up in 2011 under the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan administration, and Stephen Oronsai, the then head of the Service of the Federation, submitted the report in 2012, and it's a 800-page report.
800?
Yes, 800 page.
800 page.
And it's rather unfortunate that during the 8 years of the last administration, President Muhammadu Buhari administration, the report was not even looked into. it was kept in abeyance, as it were. As we say in the civil service, it was KIV. And that was not too good. So this is a step in the right direction. If we have the present administration having to come to the realization that when committees are set up, they're not set up for the purpose of setting up. The other day we were talking about the confab report when we met in the other program of 2014, and nothing has been done about the Muhammadu Wise confab report. Some of the issues that I know, bedeviling us, that these are the issues that you spend taxpayers' money to set up committees. And think tank. You don't just set that for the purpose of it's not an academic exercise, for God's sakes. It's for to chart the way forward. So it's a good step in the right direction. The plan is to reduce the agencies of government from 263, as it were, to 161, and to scrap about 38 agencies, statutory agencies, merge about 52 agencies, and revert about 14 into departments. One of which is the merger of the Code of Conduct Bureau, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, to merge them as one. We also have the Salaries and Wages Commission, and to merge it with the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. I think it's a step in the right direction, because it will go a long way, because like we've said over time, even in the states, some of these agencies are duplication. There's a duplicity of functions, and it's not helping. You have an environmental sanitation board, you have DELSEMA, you have this, you have that, all doing the same functions. I mean, it's waste of taxpayers' money, and we're talking about the cost of governance. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think the president had to take a step further, but also there has to be a regulatory framework, because some of these agencies are statutory, and there are certain laws that used to set up this agency. So the government has to go, to the National Assembly to ensure that these laws, these necessary enabling laws, are being, taken care of to be able to accommodate these reports, as it were. But it's a step in the right direction, and there's no need for somebody to begin to cause a lot of furore. It's not going to lead to loss of jobs.
I was going to ask that.
No, it doesn't.
People are already agitated.
No. Let nobody fly that kite, because what it means is that if your agency is merged, all you need is you go to the other agency where it's that has to be the mother agency. But the point is, we shouldn't be having people who have the same functions. Why waste our money unnecessarily? So it's a step in the right direction that the present administration has taken the bull by the horns.
All right. Okay, so still on that, so some people are of the opinion that why wait to, after 12 years before, and also some persons are saying that, are you really sure that at the end of the day, these recommendations will be implemented? Do you see them implemented, all of it?
Even if not all is implemented, that's why I said it's a step in the right direction. If the former administration of PNB, President Muhammadu Buhari, had even made any effort to even unearth the report, for God's sakes, it was 2012, this last administration was 2015, 3 years after, nothing was done. And 8 years down the line, nothing was done. And if the present administration decided to take the bull by the horns by unearthing the report 12 years later, I mean, we should give kudos to the administration. Is a step in the right direction.
Right.
Okay, a good one there, because a lot of people say Nigerian government is such that, soldier go, soldier come, barracks still remains the same. We might not be able to go back to most of these committee findings, and I think what Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done is actually telling us that we don't need to push it, we don't need to force it. Let's just allow things to naturally take their turn and see all of that happening. But we also look at the confab also taking cue alongside the Rosary.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah. Since this one has been done, it is my belief that Sunday will also wake up to discover that the 2014 confab report is being revisited. And that would be also a good step, because some of the issues that are even trending, and when we talk about constitutional review, the issue of state police, and some local government autonomy, legislative autonomy, these are some of the issues that were considered in the Muhammadu Wais confab report. They are all stated there, and appropriate recommendations taken. So all you need to do, if you know you're not going to work on the recommendations of committees, stop setting up committees and stop wasting our money setting up committees if it's going to be an exercise in futility or an academic exercise. So I think it's a step in the right direction. We should commend.
So we just left 2012, maybe we'll come to 24, just like pensions now. You know, they stopped at 2018, so just like that, maybe.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
We're still hopeful.
Yes.
Okay, protests in Lagos or Edo over hardship. And of course, Delta State also today, it's not just Delta State, NLC declared 2 days protest nationwide. And I think that, I believe that Delta State is not will not be an exception.
No, it wouldn't be an exception.
So,
because except you are telling me that hunger in Lagos and Edo,
you know, before he came
it's not here.
I was speaking with Tano, and I told him that I don't subscribe to protests because it has never solved our problems in the country. And I was recounting how it started, the whole thing started. Even since this democratic dispensation started, from Obasanjo till now, it's been from one cry to another. And I don't think it will stop anytime soon. But then, if all hands are going to be on deck to solve our problems, for me, protest is not the way forward.
So what do you think is the way forward?
And they always setting up, they always, coming to the round table and discussing.
Yes,
continue.
I think I agree with
discussions.
You. Strikes, industrial actions, it's not the best option. Like we even say in labor union, they say it is the last option. In terms of conflict resolution, it is the last option. When all actions put on the table in terms of trying to mediate, does not go through. So nobody would want that to be the order of the day. But it also behoves on the interested parties, both the government and labor, to come to a consensus, to come to an agreement. There should be a consensus at the end on certain issues. And when that consensus is done by means of agreement in terms of MOU, it will be seen by all parties to go the whole hog. You can't just say, okay, we've agreed on something, we signed an MOU. At the end of the day, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year down the line, you have refused to implement what you've agreed on. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And there's this trust deficit that we have between the issue of the government and the people. So the gap is getting wider because the government on its part is not fulfilling its own part. Okay, now this issue, like I told you, October 2nd last year, it's when this issue came up. The government of the day, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu just came up and in his inaugural address, subsidy is removed. And I told you, since then, Nigeria has never recovered from it. And so, October 2nd, the unions, there was this cry and they now came to a decision and said, okay, these are the things we are going to do to ameliorate this stuff. There's going to be palliatives to states, of which we know they gave the state governors, of which we're going to talk about the issue of Akpabio, saying and recanting. Now, there was this wage award of 35,000 for 6 months. How many state governors did that? I said it the other time. We only had 10,000 here for 3 months. And
that was from the state level.
That's what I'm saying.
They said the federal government hasn't.
That is what I am saying. That is what I'm saying. So it's all encompassing. The federal government said he has paid 4 months out of 6 months. That's what the labor minister said. 4 months out of 6 months for federal workers. So what we're saying, the CNG buses, we haven't seen them. And some of all these measures you agreed on. And the hunger is biting on everybody. It's increasing. The price of food, stuff is increasing, soaring high. And so the labor has said, okay, February 2nd, we're giving you 2 weeks. If you are not able to implement what we've agreed on, we'll go on the protest for 2 days protest. So that's what I'm saying. So in as much as going on industrial action or protest or strike is not the best option, we'll have all parties to come together and mediate. But the point is, when you have an agreement, fulfill, implement the agreement. Don't give us hollow promises if you know you're not going to fulfill those promises, for God's sakes.
Okay, I will just take this one before the very last. Police assure on safety, security, and protesters warn imposters. I think that was our lead discourse while we're coming in. Before our producer now said I think that's where we are now. Still discussing it because you can't take it away. It's a trendy issue, so you can't take it away. So can you just speak to that conversation?
No, it is proper. That's the right thing to do. When the DSS send a warning or an advisory, as I might call it, and that there was a counter, a right of reply by the NLC or the union. I was like, it is unusual that the DSS would meddle into issues like this as if a political party or a political branch or a branch of the executive. Your duty, yes. You discovered there are some fifth columnists and stuff like that. It behoves on you to, since you have that intelligence report, to swap on those elements and make sure you detail your men to ensure that this protest is not hijacked. Rather than telling they shouldn't go out the protest, which is a constitutional right, for God's sakes. Like I told you, Section 39 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, has altered as many times as possible. Said you have a right to assembly, peaceful assembly, as it came. I only said, provided you do not let it lead to violence, and that's where the security agencies come in. Their duty is to protect these protesters and prevent those hoodlums who want to hijack the process. Right. So I think it's right for the police to have said they are going to deploy their resources, their manpower, everything on ground. It's the right thing to do.
And for emphasis sake as well, many persons, especially civil servants, some of them are at home right now saying that they are even converting it from protest to strike. Now, there is an information here that members of the union, that the NLC protest will not in any way affect your duties.
I just said that before.
As a worker.
But I told you, when you said the word strike, I said, no, let's not confuse the two. It's a protest. Like what we said, like even the advice we got from my own union was like 50 persons per union. That the union should mobilize 50 persons from each union, and they will go on that protest, and they will meet under the NLC secretariat and move. So what it means is that it's not a full-blown strike. It's not a strike. So, okay, like I said, it's more like it's a warning strike. And so, well, let me know. It's a protest, so it's more like a warning to the authorities, as it were. So let's not confuse it. Let's not get it twisted. It's not like they are downing tools. It hasn't gotten to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So would you also say, because I was trying to convince a few people yesterday that what we're going to be going through, it's like a rally. A rally.
Of course.
Do you understand? Not a strike.
No, it's not a strike. It's not a strike action.
So we saw children going to school. We saw banks opening and all of that.
It's a protest now. It's not a strike action.
Well, I want to believe that by the end of today or by the end of the 2 days, the federal government will also invite them. You said they were meeting as at yesterday. Yes, till this time, and they deadlocked. Probably they didn't come to an agreement. So we hope they will come back to the table again.
Always going to the table.
Yes, they always go to the table. The table is always welcome.
Nigeria, my country.
Okay, we'll take this very last story. Constitutional review. Reps committee to prioritize state police, local government autonomy, and women.
We're still on it. Local government autonomy every time is coming up, and
then why women? I would have expected them to also add youths as well.
I think every other issue will be looked into. They've been given about 2 or 3 weeks or so, and there's a 53-member committee. We want to believe that this alteration or this whatever amendment you call it will not go like the way of others. But I think there's been an improvement. Since 2010, there have been a lot of alterations to the 1999 Constitution. There are a lot of people who would say the Constitution is not our Constitution. And the Constitution will always start with we the people. But like many issues, on the front burner has always been that the Constitution has not represented the people, as it were, just a few persons who came together. And so that is why you have so many alterations. So we hope this time around they're able to do what's necessary, not a case of putting money in the pocket of the legislators to be able to set up committee at the end of it, nothing. But I must commend them because since 2010 there's been an improvement. We saw that in the last election, even if we are still not there yet. It's not yet Uhuru. The Electoral Act and some other amendments that have been going on. And the issue of legislative autonomy, or rather legislative autonomy, yes, and the local government autonomy, these are issues. The issue of the state police has been on like forever. So all they need to do is to fine-tune all the modalities to ensure that we get it right this time around. Okay. So don't go back again and still alter the Constitution. So it's a step in the right direction. My only concern is that it should be done well this time around. We shouldn't waste taxpayers' money setting up committees, amending the Constitution, and nothing will come out of it at the end of the day.
All right, we'd like to thank you so much, Henry Wanze, for actually speaking to issues that are trendy, and we're looking forward to positive results coming out from all of these
That's right.
issues. Thank you once again, Henry.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at issues as they also affect the state of the nation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.